Really?
Would you like free tickets?
Oh no, you're joking, aren't you?
I would love them as well, but no, if you can sort it out, Jenny, I would really appreciate it. And the air travel as well. I'm sorry to tease you, but you know,
You had me for a second.
I know, and that pretty much sums up this Tin Pot Station, frankly. The producer's going out to see them. Me? Oh yeah, I'm staying here, entertaining the likes of you. Frustrating, isn't it? Jenny, listen, I really, really appreciate you getting in touch, and I thought that was an absolute cracking tune, but will it make it onto the Steve Show playlist? First, we have to hear from our next caller. Rufus, who've we got?
I've got Joseph, and Joseph's ringing with it. Well, Joseph can introduce his own track. You there, Joseph?
Hello.
Hello, Joe.
Hello.
I've rather presumptuously already called you Joe.
Yeah.
Is that alright?
That's fine. Yeah, whatever you like, Steve.
You don't mind? Now listen, Joey, where are you calling from, and how old are you?
I'm calling from Birmingham, and I'm 19.
19 years old. Are you, like Jenny, right across the whole MySpace interweb thing? Is this where you're finding your new music?
Yeah, a lot of music on there. Yeah.
Are you illegally downloading it?
Oh, no.
No?
Oh,
Interesting. That sounds like a Kenny answer, when I think the real answer is yes. Do you think that I should pose nude for the Cosmopolitan Centrefold?
Yes, if you've got Carl Pilkington with you.
Yeah? You think me and Carl, together, in an embrace? Classy. Thank you very much. Now listen, what tune have you got for us, Joe?
Over Valencia by Decemberists.
Can you tell me anything about Decemberists?
I know they're American, there's quite a few of them, sort of folk, rock, pop sort of mix, a few instruments, mix of instruments.
That's already enticed me. One question, did you discover them on the interweb?
Yes.
Ah, interesting. So it's good to see that we're very much across that now with the new music. All right, listen to the Decemberists. See if they can beat Air Traffic in my affections. Thanks, Joe, for calling in. Stay with us. Let's hear the tune. Oh, Valencia from the Decemberists, the choice of our listener Joseph Brewer. Before that we heard Air Traffic, Just Abuse Me, the choice of Jenny McKean, and they're both excellent tunes. Joe, Jenny, are you there?
Yep.
Hey guys, listen, I can only choose one for the Steve Show playlist. There's actually no reason why, I just think they add a certain dimension of sort of excitement and tension to the proceedings. And I have to say that much as I enjoy the Decemberists, it's going to have to be Jenny's choice, Air Traffic, round of applause for that. Yeah, you must be gutted.
Well done, the Jen stir.
Yeah, well done. Jenny, just quickly to get a woman's perspective, what do you think about the whole Cosmo posing idea?
Yeah, I think you definitely should.
Sure. Are you you don't think that it's maybe just some kind of joke on their part? Because I was reading that despite the fact there's been lots of sexy guys in the past who've done it, I'm not saying I'm not in that list, but also Graham Norton and Jack Osborne have done it. So,
oh well, maybe that's I don't know.
You know, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
It's tricky, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. Give it a go.
Do you think so?
Yeah, you never know.
Thanks, Jen, for the support. Thanks very much. Round of applause for Jen. Thank you very much. She makes it onto the Steve Show playlist with her choice, Air Traffic, Just Abuse Me. Have we had texts, emails, responses about the centrefold posing issue?
We've got mostly in favour.
Really?
Unsurprisingly, I've got to say, the more I look at you, the more I think, obviously unsurprisingly. So we've got Cosmo, do it, get a few ribs whipped out and strike a pose. That's an anonymous text. We got a text from, all sorts of people supporting. One person comes down quite heavily against.
Really?
Paul W. in Bristol says, Stephen, sorry, but you look like you're going to have a skinny white arse, so you definitely should not pose news. Best, he signs off, best.
Thanks very much, Dan.
Beth says, of course you should do the centrefold, but bear in mind that they did once have Anthony Worrell Thompson with a pile of sausages in front of his bits, or at least I hope it was a pile of sausages. So I'm not sure what you're supposed to do with that information, but she's definitely giving you a big thumbs up.
Right, well listen, I'm going to cogitate on that, and I'm going to give you my verdict later in the show. In the meantime, we'll have the Klaxons.
BBC 6 Music.
4:05. Still to come, we have the ridiculously difficult quiz question that we have in the last half hour of every show, and it's just a bit of fun. Don't phone in an email and text and stuff complaining when you're expecting prizes. You're not going to get them. It's just a little bit of a laugh. And of course we will be catching up with Dave, who is walking from Land's End to John O'Groats for no very good reason. Now, each week we like to play a cover version. I'm a massive fan of covers. In fact, if you want to recommend cover versions, then by all means get in touch. 64046 I believe is the text, and it's Stephen something else if you want to email. I forget exactly. We're in a different studio now. There was chaos earlier. If you've just joined us, it was carnage here at 6 Music as buttons and people's heads fell off, and it was just chaos. But we've moved into another studio. We're just trying to acclimatise, chill out, just relax, find our feet again. And obviously, let me just remind you of who's with me. We've got Dan.
Hello.
All right, and we've got, in place of Harry, it's Rufus.
Hello.
Yeah, Rufus is very well educated and posh. Dan is a fool. He's a kind of court jester-esque figure. A man to be ridiculed and mocked if you should meet him in the street.
I think dressing him up was a bit unnecessary, to be
A
honest.
bit harsh, wasn't it? Now listen,
I quite like it.
as I say, each week we play a cover version, and each week we have Harry provide us with the jingle for it. But I think in his absence, maybe Wolf, you should provide us with a different jingle. So if you don't mind, we're going to play that jingle now. Go.
Mr. Coverman, Stevie.
Thank you very much. That was beautiful. Thanks, guys. That really was excellent. Now, listen, in 1992, the Wedding Present, you may recall, they put out a different 7-inch single every month for an entire year. And each of them had a different cover version on the B-side. And, there's a collection of different things. I think, they did the theme from Shaft. They did Falling, the theme from Twin Peaks. A lot of different tunes you wouldn't expect.
Getting Better by the Beatles,
Did they? Well, yes. And anyway, this is from one of those. It's a version of the Monkees' Pleasant Valley Sunday. Those singles were compiled together on an album called The Hit Parade, and from that is The Wedding Present doing their version of the Monkees' Pleasant Valley Sunday.
6 Music.
It's the Steve Show, BBC 6 Music, with me, Stephen Merchant. If you've only just joined us, earlier on I was reading out a request from Cosmopolitan magazine, who are desperate for me to pose nude in their upcoming Centrefolds special. We've had a number of responses. I've thrown it out there to you, the listener. Should I do it? Guys, what have the responses been of late?
They remain generally positive. Chris from Brighton, who I'm not sure male or female, that may affect how you feel about his or her comment. She says, get little Stephen and the twins out there and let the world judge them. You can't keep hiding them away. They need their time in the spotlight too. If you love them, set them free.
Interesting, clever reference there.
Kat has emailed in saying, do it. It would make a nation of ladies happy, and it's for charity. So that's nice. Murdo, who's listening in Poland, presumably online, has mentioned the story we were talking about earlier, the rumour that Prince had a couple of ribs removed so that he could enjoy himself more when he was on his own, let's say. Murdo's the first person to mention floating ribs. That's what they're called, floating ribs.
Sure.
This afternoon, guys, your question about Prince kissing his one-eyed trouser snake. Google came up with naught, but there are blog entries about Marilyn Manson having his floating ribs removed so that he could blow his mind.
Sure.
And that's referred to in one other text as well from Tamsin, who says you should have your ribs removed before the Cosmo shoot, so you can. She says pleasure yourself. I think she probably means enjoy yourself while you're being, photographed.
Sure. And one more from Kimberly, who says you should pose for the centrefold as long as there's some sort of warning on the cover. Just imagine if an unsuspecting reader came across that image.
I think you'll find I did that joke earlier, Kimberly. Thanks very much indeed. If it's base blue smut you're after, you're a little bit too late. I'm the king. Listen, guys, much as the general consensus has been that I should strip off and get naked and get jiggy with it, it ain't going to happen, is it?
Really?
Of course it's not going to happen. Because it will come back to haunt me the moment it's been published.
Oh well.
Anyway, there we go. That goes on. That filled up about 10 minutes. Excellent. Incidentally, on the subject of Prince, obviously I'm a big Prince fan, and I was hoping to play some Prince today, but we're not allowed apparently. There's me biting the hand that doesn't feed me. It doesn't feed me much. Apparently, Prince is now a Jehovah's Witness. This is absolutely true.
Yes.
But what I was reading somewhere that apparently you are obliged when a Jehovah's Witness to go door to door. That's part of the sort of calling. I just love the idea of answering the door to Prince.
Yeah.
And him saying, have you thought about, the good word, and thinking, well, no, I haven't, but I would, perhaps to some kind of jazz funk guitar workout. It'd be amazing if Prince came to it. I mean, he's bound to get some converts if he's got his guitar and maybe a keyboard with him.
Yeah.
Absolutely extraordinary.
It would be just a delight.
You'd open the front door, there'd be the initial guy, particularly if you opened your front door, Steve, where your colossal
I'd look
height.
straight ahead. Well, there's no one here.
Exactly. Down here! Down here! With a copy of Watchtower in his hand.
Exactly.
Hello, Little Prince, what are you on?
I don't think you're allowed to call him Little Prince. I think he gets offended by that. I think that's taken as a given that he's Little Prince.
He'd turn on his Cuban heels and trot down Acacia Avenue to, the next door neighbour, wouldn't he?
He certainly would, with his giant phallic-shaped guitar. I'm assuming, of course, that his rib-removing days are long since past, because I think he doesn't, he refuses to play a lot of his ruder songs nowadays, because
all the best ones.
He's cleaned up and he's pure, so you're not going to hear Sexy MF, or Get Off,
Shame.
any of those.
Carmel Peach, or
Carmel Peach, Darling Nikki.
Gosh, heavens.
Yes, I know.
Quite hot in the collar.
I'll pop my clothes back on.
Yeah.
I was just warming up for the potential photo spread, but it's not going to happen, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, now listen, we had earlier some choices from you guys, and I know the show got a bit disrupted because of the technological breakdowns. We never quite assessed those two tracks individually. We never quite found out what the listeners thought of Dan's fairly risible selection.
Yeah. Well, no, I can tell you, as the studio exploded and as we were walking out in amongst the bodies and the cadavers, I found some fragments, some burning fragments of emails, and my status as Britain's most hated man has returned.
Sure.
Yeah, people hated it.
Yeah. Well,
so I might have to rethink.
Can you redeem yourself now with another of your selections?
Well, Steve, I'm thinking I can. Now, Lamb Chop. I know that you love Lamb Chop.
Yep.
Well, this song isn't by them.
Ooh,
however, the enigmatic lead singer of Lamb Chop, Mr. Kurt Wagner, is on it. He's got an extraordinary voice, but he teamed up with Express 2, who are they're a sort of a dancey trio, so not very Six music. They did have a hit with David Byrne, and they did the song Lazy, if you recall, but I think this one's much better. It's called Give It, and it's a beautiful, bittersweet pop song with a dancey element, but why not listen to it and see what you think?
Or heavy gospel-tinged chorus?
I think I did back in the early days, yeah, just in a bid to win people over, but that's forgotten about now anyway. And I know, I can see what you're thinking. You're terrified because of that pounding dance rhythm. I know that that's not really very Steve show, it's not very Six music, but I still think there's that emotional undercore, and he's got a great voice, and there's a guitar in there somewhere, just in case you really want one. So, you know, never let it be said I'm not pushing the boundaries. I may have invited more hate upon myself, though. I'm aware of that.
Well, I'm going to reserve judgment until I've heard Rufus's second choice. Ruf, what have you got for us?
I've got a song by a guy called Charlie Winston called Like a Hobo. Charlie is a brother to a guy called Tom Baxter, who I think is a friend of Six Music, is certainly well known by Radio 2 listeners. Used to be on Jonathan Ross's show a couple of times. I've seen Charlie live lots of times. He's a fantastic live performer, and I think the thing about this song, I hope listeners like it, and it's got that feeling that it's best heard live. Remember those musicians union stickers said, musician union says, keep music live.
Sure.
And I think there's a lot of music which I listen to and I think, God, this is great, but I wish I was sitting listening to it live. And I think that's a really good mark of a good track, actually, because there's a kind of skiffly feel to it. There's a really kind of rusty feel to it that I really like. I think it's great. I think it's a really good track.
Let's hear it.
I just think he knocks the cover off the ball with that song. I think it's just absolutely cracking. If people want to get the album, he's not available in the shops. He's not actually signed at the moment. He's published by Real World, but Charlie's music is all available on an EP and a forthcoming album coming out in the next couple of months, which is available from charliewinston.com or indeed MySpace/Charlie Winston.
Charlie Winston, Like a Hobo, Rufus's choice on today's Steve show. Prior to that, we heard Dan's selection, and I have to say, in any other week, I think Dan probably would have got it, but I'm afraid he's not going to beat Charlie Winston, is he? Not Winston, not Winston.
No one beats Winston. No one beats Winston.
No, that was an excellent choice, and I did enjoy it very much, particularly because it had a fiddle in it.
Yeah, and a nice harmonica as well. Ben the harmonica blower.
You like a little fiddle?
I do like a lovely fiddle. And, I mean, much as I enjoy Kurt Wagner, and much as I liked Express 2 featuring him, it was never going to quite... and I know what you mean about the live feel to it. It's very rare that you capture a song that really feels like it's a bunch of guys in a room really going berserk.
Having fun,
yeah. Talking of guys in a room having fun, how about us? Are we having fun?
Oh my God! Tell me about it.
Yeah, no, it was a hell of a link. Now listen, for those of you that have not listened to the Steve show in the past, week one, I decided to call on a whim a friend of mine, Dave, who's often recommended music to me in the past, shared good songs with me, and I thought I'll get him on the line, he can introduce one of those many tunes. Turns out, what a fool, he's walking from Land's End to John O'Groats, and he's on the line now. Dave, how are you going?
Oh wow, is that the Steve?
That's me.
Oh, brilliant.
How excited are you to be talking to me?
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. Now listen, where are you? That's the first question.
Oh, good question. It's somewhere up north, and I think it's a place called Alston, which is between Carlisle and Sunderland. But most importantly, I'm about 3 days from Scotland, which is a bit of a worry because I don't think I get this far, so I have no idea where to go next.
3 days from Scotland.
Some clues.
And once you get to Scotland, how long does it take to actually get to John O'Groats?
Well, surprisingly, Scotland, as you said it.
Yeah, as it's correctly pronounced.
Yeah. It's a lot bigger than you might imagine.
Is it really? I thought it was just a tiny little place you had to row to. across a little lake.
If only it was, because I don't know, this might take a few more days than I thought.
Right. So how's it been going? Because I understand, although I've been stateside, I understand there's been some quite unpleasant weather in the last couple of weeks. Have you had trouble with the snow?
Just mention your celebrity lifestyle again, why don't
Thanks very much indeed. Got upgraded to first class, I don't want to talk about it. Go on.
Snow on a hill almost results in death.
Is that the headline?
I wouldn't advise it, basically, and I won't do it again.
Can you talk us through exactly what happened?
There are these places where normally people wouldn't go because they would drown in peat bogs.
Yes.
And when there's lots of snow there, you would drown in the snow and then in